living on my own when I was in Florida for almost 14 to 15 years now. And I had my own condo at the time. My grandma at the time co-signed with me to get my condo at the time. I hope you can hear this, Grandma, because this is a smart thing to also make sure that you're also a part of this conference as well.
All right, so a little bit about me. My name is Samantha Shepherd. I started a law firm called Shepherd Law. Its focus is helping the elderly and the special needs. Why? I love old people and I love people who need help. I do happen to have a whole family history with special needs, but that was not what drew me to it. It's one of those funny things when people say to me, oh, my child has this or my child has that, and then I sort of go, I rebelled against the diagnosis that they gave my child when he was 11, saying, he's not autistic, he's just different. But you have to do this and this and this, and he doesn't have friends, but he doesn't need them. Now, there's all kinds of things that happen when you're a parent, and but two of my siblings have special needs, and I just was raised in a household of giving, and giving to other people was important to me. And I was the first lawyer, so I was actually the first one in my family to go to college. So I certainly didn't know any lawyers. And then when I was a lawyer, I didn't really like it a whole lot, because you don't help people. If you see TV and what lawyers are like, they're actually like that. So then I bumped into, I was back at UMKC getting a post degree in tax. Don't hit me, no tomatoes coming to the front. But I liked it because it was a black and white kind of answer. And I met a man there who was giving a talk about special needs and elder law. And I thought, I've never even heard of this area of law, and I love it. So doing something every day where you actually get to help people get from point A to point B is very gratifying. I will tell you that most of the special needs work that I do, most of it is where people have not met with me now, when they can do something to plan. Most of it is because mother has passed away and the upset child, and I get goosebumps on it because this is so upsetting to me, has received the notice from Medicaid that you are no longer eligible. You received a 1/2 interest in some property, no more Medicaid for you. You've received $10,000 from Auntie Beth, no Medicaid for you. And now you're not talking about a surprise. You know, we all are we have a limited time on the planet. We do. And I know when I first hatched my first child, I had 4 of them, but when you first have one, you don't think you can ever love anything as much as this love that you have. And then because of that, profound and ridiculous love, you cannot plan because no one can do it as well as you. So then there's nothing good enough. And that invariably causes mental paralysis. You can't figure out who's going to step in, and no one will do it, so I'll just do nothing. And you do the ostrich. And so that's where, if any of you leave today and you've been doing the ostrich thing, just know that something is better than nothing. Even if it's that annoying sister of yours that you know invariably does the wrong thing. She wants to wear name brand. She gives your kid too much sugar. It's okay with her that there's a nose ring in her. I don't know what it is that she might do that irritates you. She's a whole lot better because she's your choice than the state coming in and picking. So I talk from personal experience when I say when I first hatched a baby, I had no plan, because it wasn't okay. My mother was going to die. I thought, I can't name my mother. She might not. And I tell my clients when they come in, today is the day we plan. Is your mother the person who would step in right now even though she's 65? Then that's our person. We plan for today. When your mother is 83 and is still able, we still name that person. If your mother is not someone you like, you don't name your mother, but you go with today. And when the person needs to be changed, We change the person. So I don't want to make law so scary that you don't do it. It's not really scary. One of the other presenters said something really awesome. When you die, the state has a plan for you. Unfortunately, that's true. So we have in Missouri and Kansas a book, pull off the shelf, open it up. What happens when you don't have a plan? Ah, no will here. Her stuff goes to her spouse. But wait, is it a second spouse? Are there kids? There's all these things. The state decides. And in that decision, it does not say, time out. If one of your kids has a special need, then we'll put that money aside because they're going to lose their benefits. You've heard it, I'm going to do it again. What does that mean to lose your benefits? We have a $2,000 federal threshold. It's federal law, okay? Federal law, every state, federal law, $2,000 for Social Security. Not flexible, hasn't changed in forever. $2,000. Not tied to any kind of gift tax exclusion, not tied to any cost of living, it's $2,000. Do I hear of anything looking like it's changing that? Is there anything on? No. So if you have assets, and people ask me sometimes, what's assets? Okay, savings account, CD, passbook account, technically cash under the mattress. It's all, so don't tell me about that stuff. But we don't have to do that anymore because we have the ABLE. But cash, savings, checking accounts, life insurance that has cash value, vehicles, obviously real estate, those count. We have 2 states, unfortunately for me. I mean, you guys pick one and you live in one. I'm in both. And you know how hard that is? I have to follow Missouri and Kansas law, and I hear one of them saying, oh yeah, and it's not the same. Almost every little stupidity. Kansas, for example, doesn't have a payback on the Medicaid, on the ABLE accounts, okay? That's a huge thing. That means you put money into these ABLE accounts, you got to spend it or it's gone, right? Not in Kansas, that's new. Does it matter? It matters. Is it exciting? Yes, it's exciting. They're different. One of them, somebody said earlier, and I was like, oh, that's not quite right. You get Social Security determines that you're disabled and you get Medicaid. That does not happen in Missouri. Missouri has its head in its caboose about that one. It's one of the few states you have to go your own route. Kansas, they go together, they're tied, not Missouri. So we've got all these weird little rules. But the money rule, you can't put your hand on it and grab it tight because it moves. Federal hasn't moved, $2,000. State has moved. In Kansas, guess what it is right now? $2,000. Guess what it was last year? $2,000. 10 years ago, $2,000. Am I repetitive? Missouri, what was it 10 years ago? $1,000. What is it today? $5,700. It's moving. It went from $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, then tied itself to cost of living adjustment. So Kansas is saying that we can have more, but we know we really can't because we're stuck at our $2,000 limit. Ah, Lord bless us. So what do? We put money in our ABLE account, but we are tied to the $100,000 limit. I don't know if you guys are following that, but if you get SSI, it doesn't matter that the Kansas limit's up here, you're still stuck at the federal limit. So you really individually have to look at what you get and need. This is going to be so boring and basic for those of you who already have any estate planning. So here we go. You need 4 documents for yourself while you're alive, 4 documents for your spouse while she or he is alive, 4 documents for each of your children once they hit 18. That's before we get to our special needs trust. Those 4 documents, as soon as you croak, they're gone. They have no meaning. Those 4 documents, a healthcare power of attorney, a financial power of attorney, a HIPAA document, and a living will. A living will is also called an advance directive. The healthcare says who makes decisions when you cannot. You're married to this lady, you have a stroke, she's your decision maker, not because she's your wife. As your wife, 0 power. You have a stroke, no decision making on whether you live. You have a 401k or an IRA, we need to get that money because you had a stroke. She can't get it because she's your wife. Power of attorney, need it. What happens if we don't have those powers of attorney? They come freaked out because they can't make decisions on healthcare or money. We have to go to court, guardianship. HIPAA, just who gets access. And before I made a rude comment, somebody told me afterwards, I'm so sorry I made a rude comment, but I'll make it again. So what happens with the HIPAA is that you get access to the medical information of your spouse or your child. Medical information could be things that you don't want people to know. Well, I said like your sperm count, but I'm just saying, I mean that there are things that people can find when they have access to your HIPAA, your bra size, you know, your testosterone level, whatever it is. The advanced directive is whether you want to live if you are in a persistent vegetative state. That is the framework, okay? Everybody's going to die. If you don't have a will, we look to the state statute. If you have a will, this is really cool. Here's my will. It says, I, Samantha Shepherd, leave everything I have in equal shares to my 4 children. Can they walk into the bank with my will? No. They can. Will it get them anywhere? No. They'll say, that's lovely. Prove that your mother is dead. Thank God they are not dead yet, but they at least ask for proof. If they ask for proof that mom's dead and they come up with the death certificate, is that enough? No. You have to go to a court called probate court for every single will. Every single will requires probate court. Not 1, 2, all of them. So when my clients use a will, it means that I have not explained well how to avoid using it, because guess who makes money on a will? I do. I said I do. I'm there. So, and in Missouri, it's tied to the dollars, meaning it's not even tied to how much I work. I get a percentage of the estate. You look it up in the statute. How much does Samantha make? Book open. Brr, brr. Oh, a lot of money, a lot of money. Why? Because they use the will. So we use a will. I'll make you do a will. And it's what we call a pour over will. Pour, as in this is pouring into my mouth. One moment. Just water. But it poured. So we're pouring. So this will, oh, I do actually want to use this for something else. This will pours. Now what do I mean by that? The message on the will says, I, Samantha Shepherd, make this my last will and testament. If there's anything out there that I forgot to do the right thing, didn't get it where it needed to go, pour it into my trust. Okay, this is my trust. Now, a trust has handles. The person holding the handles is called a trustee. That's it. Do you have to have any special qualifications to be a trustee? You have to be honest because you got somebody else's money. Now, ironically, my bag here has 2 handles because the almost ordinary trust has a husband and a wife. They're co-trustees. They work together. So 2 handles. And they hold it in their life. So it's an ordinary, everyday, mundane thing. Do you need it right now? Yes. Should you have it right now? Yes. Does it avoid probate? Yes. But do I care because I make more money at the end? No, I really actually want you to have one. So lots of times I've been asked, well, I don't really have an estate. Well, you do actually. So here's what happens when you think about this. You have heard 21-year-olds crashing their vehicles and dying, and the parents come in and they still have an estate. What does the kid have? He has an apartment, he has a bank account, he has a car. It's not a lot, but it's his estate. If you have somebody who's 30, maybe they've started to buy a house, maybe they've put a little money in their IRA, they have stuff. That's not, even though you're a good mama, you can't get in there. You can't do anything. You need authority. Okay, are we clear that the will has to go to court? Will cost you money. Those are probate lawyers. Are you clear that I'm going to make you have a will anyway, in case you forgot to put things in your trust? Okay. Pour over. Yeah. Okay, so it's revocable. What does revocable mean? You can change it. What does living mean? I did it while I'm alive. Okay, that is an obvious one. But we call them revocable living trusts. Are they for everyone? They really are, for just about everyone. Now, fair to say that I have 4 sons, not one of them has a trust. Why? Well, 3 of them are still in college, and I pay them money for everything that they need and whine about. The other one's in the military, and he's in Kuwait right now for 9 months. So he has a will the military gave him, but he doesn't have any money. I mean, let's be fair. He has a wife, and it says pay on death to wife. It's a very clear thing. He has no kids and a dog. So where's his money going? To his wife. So are there people who don't need wills and stuff like that? You know, fair, my dad, I would have done it for free. Did my dad have a will? I told you my parents didn't go to college. They were military people. They were very lovely people. I inherited my dad's debt and his cremation bill. So did he need it? No, why? He was married and everything he had went to my mother. Now, could the situation have been a little different? Yeah, but just, did he need his 4 basic docs? Financial power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, living will and HIPAA, yes. So everyone needs those. All right, now let's go to you guys. Can I pause and say, does anyone have a just burning desire to ask a question? Because I'm okay with that. Is it killing you? You need to ask? I know you have 20. I'll get you after.
No, I don't have any.
Okay, so let's say you come into me and you sit down and you say, hey, Samantha, you're awesome. I really like you. We want you to do our trust. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that idea. So I'm going to do this because it's fun. Let's see. You have a house. We get the house into the trust. How do you suppose we get a house into a trust? By a deed. When you buy a house, you get a deed. If you don't own it outright, can you still put it in the trust? Yeah, sometimes we don't, but you can. You get a deed. Here goes my house. Now, this was my will, so hold on. I've got to use another prop. Somebody give me some toys. Let's say I have a checking account at Commerce. Does it have to go into the trust? Well, yeah. You know what's really weird about this? It should. People think when they have a trust that it's a bank somewhere, right? Like it's Gringotts. It's the Harry Potter place. They think that they have access now. I got a code. I can go to my place and go to, I'm in my trust. No, it's a bunch of legal paperwork that you overpaid for because I'm expensive. Or so is a, I just had to throw that in there, right? But it's paperwork that you walk into any bank. The chances are at least 50-50 that the person that you're going to talk to at the bank doesn't know what a trust is because they don't. So you have to be authoritative and say, I want to open an account. What kind of account? Pause. Not really, that's what's so tricky about it. You just want an account. You want a checking account? Yes. Who's the owner of the account? My trust. See the difference? I am still alive. It is my checking account, but the trust is on it. So what the statement comes out from Commerce Bank, it says, Samantha Shepherd's RLT, Revocable Living Trust. Does it change my life? No, it means I had to order new checks. I'm cheap, I didn't order them. I scratched RLT. I don't use very many checks. That's my theory. We don't use checks anymore. We Venmo, Cash App, right? Which reminded me, I didn't send the Venmo lady, that hair lady. Oh, random memory pops in there about who you owe money to. So my strongest belief about special needs planning is that any planning is better than none. But you need a trust just like this that walks with your child when you're done. Okay, why? Well, look, it's got my name on it. It says Samantha Shepherd's Trust. I'm now in the grave. I'm actually going to be cremated, but I'm dead. Do I want my kid to walk around Andrew, he's got a different last name, Andrew Barrett, I wasn't liberal enough when I was married, Andrew Barrett Special Needs Trust. Do I want that? It's confusing. He's got this thing that says Samantha. He needs his own. So I need another one. Thank you. So a packet, your estate plan, if you have a child with special needs, is 2 trusts. It's your revocable trust, and then this one down here that says child's special needs. What is your child's
Chelsea.
name? Chelsea. So it's going to say Chelsea's special needs trust. Now, can you imagine Chelsea's her whole life walking around trying to explain? Have you ever been into Social Security or any kind of government office and you try to explain? Now, Chelsea's trust starts on page 22, section CB. You see where it refers to the Chelsea's trust? And they're like, where's Chelsea's trust? Much easier if you walk in and you go, here's Chelsea's trust. She needs her own. It's that simple, practical reason, because we work in a culture that doesn't get it, right? So you want her to have her own little packet of documents. Can other people, so let's say, when do we create it now? We create it now, because I don't know if you're going to get hit by a bus, or divorced, or disabled. So create it now. Is it empty now? Yes. Most of the time it's empty now. tricky trick. A lawyer texted me last night from Arkansas and said, does the special needs trust have to be revocable or irrevocable? And I said, is there any money in it? Then we have to lock it. It's that simple to me, right? You put something in it, you got to lock it. If it's empty, anticipating your death, it can be open. So you put rules on it. And it works like this. It's just walking around like this with its mouth open the whole time. And then as soon as something goes in it closes. So it's irrevocable. Why do I leave them open? The first probably few hundred I did, I thought I was so clever. I locked them because I read that special needs trusts are supposed to be irrevocable. But then I needed the law that changed, and I couldn't change it without a process. Now I'm older and wiser. I hope I'm not one of your, I didn't do one before for you. Now they're all open. And as soon as mom or grandma or anyone else puts money in it, it locks. It is a requirement. When you list your assets at Social Security and Medicaid, and those people, they want to know what you've got. You have to say, do you have a trust? And they want a copy of it. Now, in my credit, I'll toot my own horn. So I'm getting old, which means that in Missouri, the list, the checklist that the people who review the trusts is my checklist. Like I wrote it. So do I know what it says? Yeah, I kind of do, actually. But the fun part about that is that those people who are there, they change a lot. So you have to just evolve with them in a practice. But so here's my view. This is the trust. Hold on. And here's Chelsea's trust. Now, do we have any questions about who Chelsea's trustee is? Chelsea's still young. Mom's still alive. Who should it be? Mom. Thank you. That was easy. If Mom wants to make a change, can Mom do it? Right? If it's still open, you like my analogy there, right? If it's still open, no problem. If it's already closed and it's irrevocable, it's still possible to make changes. It depends what kind and it depends what method, but just let's go easy. Easy is leave it open until we fund it. Okay. Yes.
Yes. If you fund it from one person's death and it becomes closed, like Uncle Joe, but Mom and Dad are still alive, would it be open or closed because it's going to be
Always close. The second there's a penny in it, we close it, because that's a rule. So
then you just open it again when someone else dies?
So I perhaps shouldn't have used the word open. I thought I was being cute. Revocable, irrevocable. As soon as money goes into it, it's irrevocable. It still can receive.
Oh, okay.
It can receive. It's just the state wants them all to be locked. So you can stick I should scratch a little hole in here. You can stick money in it. Anyone can stick money in it. But do other people want to stick money into it? Well, you get to determine, if you wrote it, you get to determine who gets money at the end. So if someone else gives money to Chelsea, maybe they want them, if she doesn't use it, they want to decide what happens to it. So often there are multiple trusts for Chelsea, especially if they're separate marriages or something like that.
So you can have multiple trusts
Oh,
with
yeah.
the same name given?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's not like able account.
No.
You can only have one.
No, the interesting thing about the able account, you should only have one, but there isn't a way yet for them to be coordinated to even know, hypothetically, you could have many, but it would be common in a divorce situation that there were two. I have many people that I look after who have multiples, and they have multiples because my crisis, remember I told you most everyone comes to me in crisis, not ready. They come in crisis because Mom did not set one up, Mom died, and they get money. And then they have to go the ugly route. It's the strain of, I'm already getting a notification that I have no Medicaid this month, and so I don't have the caseworker coming, and I'm losing my benefits, and I'm losing my, and so we have to rush and do a different kind of a trust. And they are different trusts. So even if you had one already, it would be different. You have another question? No. Yes, sir.
So we've had a trust for my daughter since she was born.
Excellent.
We're putting in a little bit of money every month.
Since you're funding it already, it should be locked already.
I believe it is irrevocable, like it was written as that. Grandma and Grandpa throw a check in every once in a while.
God bless them, yeah.
Okay. Question, as well, because I'd like to go back and look at it, are there key specifics about when you're writing a trust that should be in there for a special, like you mentioned when we were looking at they were like, hey, these things should be in a.
Yeah, the Band-Aids.
Yes.
Because I can't be everybody's lawyer all at once, so I was going to tell you if you're going to pull it offline, which I'd really love to, make sure you get blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but.
Those are stressful moments for me, right? Here's your free legal advice, go really fast. But so if it was established a long time ago,
17 years.
okay, so the Secure Act was the big act that was passed after that, which has really changed almost every estate plan, because a lot of our humans now, we don't have pensions. We have 401ks. 401ks have different rules, and IRAs have different rules. Those rules are where most of our savings seem to come from. Well, we can ask Casey about what stats are like that, but my human knowledge is that most people's savings seems to be tied for a long time to their retirement money, and that money is different now, how it's treated in the special needs world. We have to specifically address retirement assets in our trusts, or they are not right, and that causes strain. So that's fixable. Yes, ma'am. Most trusts that were written have a provision that says we can fix it if there's been a change in the tax law.
This one does, sure. Okay, that's helpful. I need to go back and get it reviewed by the lawyer.
You do.
That put it together.
You do.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've had a special needs trust for my daughter for several years, but it's called a Medicaid payback trust. So what's the difference in all the?
Okay.
I thought once you're on Medicaid.
She was not put in the audience by me intentionally to ask that question. However, that's a beautiful question, and I will do my best to clarify this one. So, Medicaid allows us to have these trusts now. Since 1993, we could have these trusts that let us protect money. It's you putting some of your money aside for, not yours. This whole thing I've said so far is mom and dad putting your money when you die for Chelsea. Your scenario is, I won't use Chelsea because she's here, that would be mean. Something happened. May I ask, do you mind if I?
We got a lawsuit from, and caused her DVTs and got a big.
Medical malpractice. So the most common time that I see the kind of trust that she's talking about, which is a great special needs trust, there are two. The one the mama didn't plan, and then I've got the money and I've got to move fast. And then the other is a horrible accident. So either the individual was born with malpractice involved and there's a lawsuit, or there was a car accident, or somebody sued somebody, and in comes $1 million. So in comes $1 million to someone who's living in a group home with a happy little family, that's their life, and they get Medicaid and they get SSI, and they've now got money. The law allows us to take that money and put it in a trust. Oh, I don't know which bag is whose, I'm so sorry. I messed everybody's bags up. Let's put this money, this is called by a few different names. One is a Medicaid payback trust. Why? The state says, you know, you got $1 million. I will give you Medicaid, but if there's money left, when you die, we have a bill. An itemized by the day bill. So if you are 45 years old, you get $1 million settlement, can you get Medicaid? Absolutely. You get Medicaid, we set up a special needs trust, in goes the money. This doesn't often happen to our Down syndrome children unless there was a failure to plan on the part of the parent, and then they call me and say, Mom died, we got a $50,000, we need to do something with it. We need to maintain Medicaid, so we do a Medicaid payback trust or a first party trust. I don't know if you guys are very good at English. I was born in England, so that means I speak like I'm very good at English, but I get my pronouns cajoodled sometimes. But first party means I have the money. What's your daughter's name? Amber. Amber. So the check for the personal injury didn't come to Mom, it came to Amber. So Amber has to put Amber's own name and Amber's own money into Amber's own trust. There should be, this is a big one, a separate trust that you set up when you die, because you don't want to, yeah, she's got it, because you don't want to contribute to Amber's money, because this money has a payback. When you guys set up your trust, the one we were talking about, you don't owe the state anything. So if your child dies early, you can direct where that money goes, but there is no chit to the state of Kansas or the state of Missouri. Huge difference. Big malpractice difference if lawyers don't get that one.
So that's the attorney said, spend it down as much as you can.
Okay, well, so this is a very good question. The special needs individual, your child, that has this Medicaid payback trust, has been told, spend this money as quickly as possible. And I don't think that's quite, I'm being a little funny, but I'll tell you, there's a case that sticks with me. You know, you learn from something you hear and you go, God, those people have got it wrong. They got a huge settlement. They were in St. Louis. And they took all the money from this Medicaid payback trust, also called a first party trust, and they put it in the bank, and they were so proud to show me how much it was. It had been there for 20 years. And I felt sick, because in the meantime, they struggle and scrimp and struggle and scrimp and trying to save money for when they die so the kid will have money. So you get it? They should have been spending the special needs money because the state's got their fingers in it after the kiddo dies, whereas mom and dad's money they could just use on the side. So what could they have done? They could have used it to buy a car. They could have used it for physical therapy. They could have used it for additional daycare, clothing, medical supplies, programming, trips to Disney, God knows. But they hadn't been, so they've been accumulating it. So deep breath, that was a financial advisor at the time who didn't know that they weren't doing them a favor. They were growing the money, grow the money. So it is important to find someone who understands some of the... So here's one of the things that kind of... I don't sell financial products, so I'm just an unbiased lawyer. I am asked all the time, how much money do I need to fund my trust? Is there an answer to that? Because there isn't an answer, I make up one so they feel comfortable. They just say, give me a target. And I'm like, well, you know, it depends. If you die tomorrow and I have to replace you, what are you worth? And usually if there's a couple, it's kind of fun. How much could I pay somebody to come and do all that crap for you that she does? Right? And then so you know, we're talking about a $75,000 a year job just to do your stinking laundry. So yeah, how old's your kid? How many years have we got? And then, you know, that's kind of where I laugh and go, because it's harder for younger couples where they're relying on each other. One of them's the daycare without realizing it. If you're a unit. But if you're really practically asking, what's your golden ticket dollar thing to fund a special needs trust? Many of you can fund it with life insurance. It's the quick and dirty. It's the quick and dirty, because here's the reality. With Down syndrome, we are living longer, which is great. And you will die and you will leave this child. So you want as much instruction as possible. So everything that Casey said, actually, I'm that lawyer. I ask, tell me what it is that you want to do. Tell me what your goals are. And then I make you write this letter of intent. Here's what I do for the letter of intent. I don't need a format. I have every kind of thing that people have given me. I just want you to write as if you're going today. And don't make it, oh gosh, it's so important, I can't do it. Every year I'll just say, do it the same thing. So, Chelsea this year's really into tattoos, but I don't like them, so we buy temporary ones. She really likes swimming. She hates scratchy labels. She really likes Freddy's. She doesn't like boys yet. What her story is will help whoever, if you disappear, come in and be trustee. And that is a letter of intent or a memo of intent. It's not legal. What does that mean? It's not enforceable. It's guidance. Because the trustee has got a limited list of things that we can say, and a lot of it's just law. So we want to give them as much common sense knowledge about your kiddo as we can. I have tons more to say, but I want to pause. Questions? Yes, ma'am. About 4. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what the difference between funding an able and prevalent and just special needs?
Yeah.
Like where do we
I had a similar question. I could piggyback. Why would Grandma and Grandpa put money into the special needs trust versus an able account?
Okay.
So kind of similar.
Do you want to? Will the others want to ask now?
Well, mine is similar too. So if you haven't established any of these, where do you start?
Okay.
And what questions do we need to have answered in our brain before we call you? Do we need to know who the guardian's going to be? That's my stress, is I don't know who's gonna take care of my kid when I'm gone, so I've got my head in the ground and I like it that way. But
I will pull that head right out. I'll feed you a cookie. It'll be awesome. Okay, you guys are awesome. This feels really good for me.
Fed all of us for lunch.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm on the board for the Down Syndrome Innovations. It's just, they're a really lovely group of people. I don't know if you can tell from my, let me make sure none of them, oh, they're recording, darn it. But when we're around the table, I'm the obstinate one, right? I'm always like, why don't we do that? I just, when I was born that way, right? If you brought me your trust, I'm looking for something wrong with it. If you tell me it's ugly outside, I'm like, well, I think it might get better. I just don't know why, but that's my, so I bring that to that. Okay, so the simple question, where do you start? The ABLE account costs very little money, but you don't need it necessarily unless you, here's the skinny, it's a savings tool. Are you at a point where we need to save? Are you working at Price Chopper yet? Do you have SSI? If you don't have money coming in that needs to be saved, it's not critical. Am I excited for you to open the account so that we have more in Kansas and Missouri? Absolutely. You only need $50. It's open, it's there, it's exciting. It means you've at least learned. Does that make me feel good? Yes. So can you do it? Yes. Does it cost? No. Just open it. Will you necessarily need it? It will depend. You know, so it will depend. The ABLE account is great. It is fantastic. It has limits. It has limitations because it is her spending account. Now, I don't know her. I don't know if you can give her a lot of discretion, Patty. How much discretion are you going to give Patty? Patty earned that money. Patty can save that money. I get that. But not everyone's got Patty. Sometimes the people that you're putting money in for can't make great decisions about what they want to do with their money. Your special needs trust lets you put guidelines on that money. So do they both work for Medicaid? Yes. Do they both work for SSI? No. So the cap for SSI is $100,000. That's a lot of money. And since we've only been funding ABLE accounts for 10 years, there really aren't that many, I don't know any in my client base, that have $100,000 put away, because that's a lot of money, right? Because it only started 10 years ago, and you could put 10, so nobody's there yet. Let me see, hold on, let me think about how best to answer that. Grandma wants to give money. Now, if Grandma's going to give me big money, like through her death, I'm thinking special needs trust, and I'm thinking getting her lawyer to know the name of your special needs trust. It's actually going to be the date that you set it up 17 years ago. So you're going to call Grandma and say, in your estate plan, tell your lawyer that it's going to say X dollars or X percent goes straight to Billy's special needs trust set up 1999, whatever it is, right? If Grandma wants to write a check because she feels like just giving a birthday gift, and she feels frustrated by this accumulation of dollar, then that's an ABLE account answer, because it doesn't cost any money. You know, we don't have to pay anyone to set these ABLE accounts up besides the $50, and there's a place that it goes. And sometimes you can just put it in the child's account, just like a regular gift, unless you're getting to that $2,000 threshold. So it really is, how much money is Grandma going to give? You need a bossy lawyer. That's all you need. So, meaning, so sometimes there's a lawyer that says, you know, those are very complicated questions, you need to go home and think about that, and then you can read. And then there's a lawyer that's like, look, is your sister any good? You know, your choices aren't great. Your sister's going to be here. If she's the one we put today. If she marries better, come back, we'll change him. But sometimes you just need to shove it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
No, no.
So, like, we don't have a trust right now, because I always run into the problem of not knowing who to put. Although somebody did tell me just have like a 6-month plan, or but you could have like a backup or whatever. So I got that. But if you have life insurance and you have to put beneficiaries for the life, so like my husband would have me, but then maybe if something did happen to me, I would have secondary people. But I've been led to believe, like, don't put my kid with special need as one of the people. Would it make a difference if I had a special need trust and I could put my kid as that person?
She said, what if I have life insurance? Who should I name? I name my husband. Beyond that, I name my kid with the special needs. Please don't do that. I feel ill. No. Special needs trust. Or actually, better would be your trust. Your trust, because your trust still can be changed, and your trust in it says fund the second one. So you really have your two, okay? You have two. And your 401k would do the same. Name the spouse primary, name the trust secondary, and then the trust says, look through, see what the rules are. We then fund, because you've got these issues like, and I love to tell you my opinion on all things. You might come in and tell me your story, which will be different than yours and yours and yours. These are my 6 children, and this one has special needs, and then I'll say, I'll ask you questions, but then we'll boil it down, and I'll say, give that one a third, or I'll say, how's your health? Let's go get you some term insurance, and then some long-term insurance. Or I give you very pushy to-dos.
So it sounds like you're saying that we as parents should have a trust, then we would also have the special needs.
Yes. Your trust, thank you for doing it for me. I should have different colors. Yours is this one that has you and your spouse, or just you, I don't know your story. And this one is the special need. This one and this one, they come together as a packet. Now, in the olden days, yes, do you want, yes.
The beneficiaries of those revocable living trusts should be your other children not with disabilities. Like,
oh my God, please.
Yeah, sorry.
No, hold on just a minute.
The beneficiaries of that revocable living trust.
Okay, I need a whiteboard.
Oh, yeah. Just clarifying, yes, clarifying. That's what you said, yeah.
So the revocable living trust, may I use your name?
Yeah, Jennifer.
Jennifer has a revocable living trust, and you have how many children?
3 daughters, 1 with Down syndrome.
She has 3 daughters. She loves them equally. She has $300,000. I say, the estate says, my revocable living trust language says, I, Jennifer, have 3 children. Treat them all equally. One child gets her, how old are they?
24, 22, and 19.
Okay, so they're all crazy. No, adults. So I'm not giving an 18-year-old any $100,000. I don't know about you. But so it's going to say, I, Jennifer, give my 3 I love equally. They all get a third. The third for my 18-year-old, hold it until she's finished with college, unless she's got a medical crisis, she needs a tuition payment. After that, give her half of it at 25 and half of it at 30. The other one, hold it until she's at least 21. Now, granted, you're probably going to be alive. They're going to be over these ages, but we pretend you're dead today. Hold it, give it to pay for medical expenses, critical things, education. Then give it to her, 25 half, 30 the other half. Child with special needs name is? Janae. Janae's share goes to Janae's Special Needs Trust, which exists already.
So you don't have the money to set up both trusts, though. I mean, if we're talking legal fees and stuff, worst-case scenarios,
you should have them.
Exclude that child from your
No,
trust.
no.
Your lawyer should do both for you.
Hold on, I have to breathe. It's a great question. It is what we used to do.
Legal fees are like, what can I afford to do today?
Yes, you go on a payment plan. Just go on a payment plan, because what you want is, yes, good lawyers who've been around for a long time will give you a payment plan.
That's part of the dilemma is you get there and then they're like $2,500 or whatever. You're like, crap, I don't even have that much to put in a trust, and
So it's stressful. So
Special needs families are broke anyway, so.
I know.
That's why we don't have all this stuff.
I know. Yeah.
In a special needs trust, can you put any fund, like excess Social Security benefits? You can? I just heard you could not.
No.
I'm in a pickle right now, and
There's just like I have too much to tell you. My brain's gonna hurt. So you don't have special needs, so you're not getting a Social Security check, and you're not going to have an income problem. So let's turn it around, right? Patty is making money, and she can only accumulate $2,000. So Patty doesn't want to set up a special needs trust because she's alive and she could do her ABLE account. She wants to spend it, right? So it's very specific. What works for Patty? Okay.
right.
Using my Patty scenario, give me your question again.
Well, okay, the guardianship, we have guardianship, and guardianship only allows the guardians to hold $10,000. The ABLE account has $10,000 in, and now we have an excess.
Okay, you're not spending very well. I mean, I hate to be a realist, but I don't have a lot of people like that because they don't get to accumulate a whole heck of a lot of money because you only get $941, mind you, right? So something's not costing you. You should be charging your kid
Dad
rent.
went on retirement. Dad retired.
So we're getting SSDI because Dad went on retirement.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we are funding an ABLE account.
Yes, but my guardianship says I'm only allowed to withhold or to hand.
The ABLE account money doesn't count.
Yes, it does in the state of Kansas.
Not to the, it doesn't count,
Not to SSI.
it
but
doesn't
under
count to the conservatorship rules. You think, I don't think it does.
The way you get around that is you open or change the ABLE account to be you as the parent, not the guardian. I had a client like that situation. So the parent can help with the account up to the full amount. The guardian, the $10,000 limit.
But they're saying.
12 now, right?
I need to open like an art care, like a pool.
Okay. Okay. How do I start? Yeah, you can ask me. Okay. Let's see. Back to please don't disinherit your child who has special needs. There has always been a concept of not always. When I first had a baby, I didn't have any money. I had nothing but law school debt. I had a life insurance. I had a baby, and I was terrified that, first of all, no, I mean, just this, you had never seen such a beautiful child. Like, whatever you guys had, this is like it. And he was so brilliant, too. I got a life insurance policy, and I got term because that's all I could afford. So it was a tiny little bit of money that I could spend every month that would go to but I didn't know anything about law. I was a lawyer, but I wasn't going to do my own stuff. So I went to a lawyer with my, the way I do all of life. So I have $400 in my pocket. What's this going to get me, right? And I remember trying to call a friend saying, how can I get what should I do? I did not have money for a trust. So I created a will, because that's all I could afford. But my will said stuff. My will said, if I have a child, and that child is still a minor and I die, then going through the court process, there would be a trust created. It's called a testamentary trust. So that works while you need a Band-Aid. Because it's very pie in the sky for me to say, everybody needs a trust. It's like we all need a Corvette. Let's all hop on. I get it. We can't all do it. So what are our workarounds? What I get scared about some of the workarounds about leaving money to the good kids is they aren't good forever. They get old. They die. They get disabilities. They get on Medicaid. I've got one little lady right now. She's 102. She's in a nursing home on Medicaid, and her special needs daughter is dying before her and has left mom. I'm like, wait, don't leave money to mom. She's on Medicaid. So be careful that things change. If you do your little Band-Aids, you got to make sure that you have and Band-Aids work. I would rather not just say bleed all over the floor. Put the Band-Aid on, and if the Band-Aid is you name someone you trust because you're not quite ready to make decisions, then you do that. And I don't want to go on paper saying that, right? I'm just telling you, you have to be practical. And me practically telling you that my dad didn't have a will is slightly embarrassing. However, didn't need it. So you don't all need everything, but if you have a child and you have any money that might come their direction, you want to consider being able to have it come directly to them. So that the child, if you have siblings, you think, oh, I'll just leave it to that one. Well, marriage, 50% of the time doesn't end out how we want it to go. Not always because your kid had anything to do with that. Sometimes sickness happens and your well child dies after you do, but before your special needs kid does. Things like that happen. So I believe that my lady in the back posed something really pivotal. How can you start, right? Little things. You don't all have the big bucks that you need to have to go to a lawyer. What are the Band-Aids and the little things that you can do? You take steps and you make a plan. And you make it the best that you can. You try to figure out, if you're never going to have a big job that's going to pay big money, then you find out how to get some term insurance. And if you're healthy, you think about that. I have a topic that's a little bit ugly that I want to talk about. How much time I don't use PowerPoints, just so you know. I do them so you can have them as tools. A little ugly topic. I think it's ugly because it's hard to find the right people to look after your kids when you're gone, okay? There is no answer. You can pray about this one with me and you will find an answer for who it is today. And that is the only answer that you have. You may encounter, if you met me, you might think, oh, I really, really like you and I want you to do my stuff. And I occasionally caved and did it. Is it ethical? Absolutely. Is it legal? Absolutely. There are statutes that guide Kansas and Missouri, and they specifically say a lawyer can serve as a fiduciary. But think about it. I'm 54. I mean, I know I don't look it, but if you love me and you name me to be your person because you go into my office and you're like, we need a trustee, I am your age, and you think, I can't do that forever. If you're 80, I'm okay with that. But those are, so you sometimes have had a big old dollop of the Kool-Aid and you're like, Samantha gets it, she wants to. So that happened to me. And so I was accumulating people and I was getting a lot of angst about it. You know, that feeling in your gut that these people need something better than I can offer. So I went looking. I went to the Kansas City marketplace and I started shopping. Who can serve? Who can look after the money? Well, the people who manage money love to manage money, but they don't know a lot about special needs. As a general rule, there are odd ones, like we have Casey here. She's an odd one. She's made her financial career on special needs. That is not typical. She can't be your trustee, so she's not your answer for who your trustee is. She can guide you about what to invest in. She can help you, you know, you can buy insurance from her. So who do you go to? So I went to Big Bank. I can name 3 of the big banks in town. I went to the big banks and I said, can you serve as trustee for people if they have $50,000? And they said, cough, sputter. Our minimum at Commerce Bank is articulated, it's fair, I'm honest, $2.5 million. Okay? Wow. I'm slightly offended by that dollar amount. I think I need to leave. What that means is they recognize special needs are complicated and they take more money to operate, so they don't make as much money with them, and so they're just putting it aside. So then I went to next big bank. We'll do it for $1 million if you have other accounts with us and we like you and your kid's not difficult. I mean, honest to God, I started thinking the $1 million was chump change. So I got mad. And so I went to Missouri and they said, you can play with us if you bring us lots of millions. And I went to Kansas and I said, give me an alternative. And they said, you can set up something. I said, okay. And I went home and I stewed over it. And I just said, you know, I have this theory that I can't help everybody, but I have to help where I can help. So I opened, I just did it. I just said, I'm going to do it, and closed my eyes and I jumped in it. So I created this company that was only for special needs servicing for trusts that nobody wanted. Now, is it a grand plan? Yeah, it's a great idea. Is it going to be able to help everybody? It's not going to ever be able to help everybody. And right now it has less than 200 people that it's helping. It started 3 years ago. I took all the people that were my people and I introduced them to that company, and then I stepped back from that company. So what do I mean by that? Are there other options? There are other options. There are good options. It becomes challenging if you're not really rich. You have to find, I will hopefully be dead when most of these people who have named this company will come into being. I had met with a family, they were in their 30s, really lovely, devoted family. They have a child with a rare chromosome issue who will soon be at 10, deaf, and will be wheelchair bound. I think that they think that kid has a normal life expectancy. Their best trustee is them, right? But when they're gone, who would it be? We need a corporate entity. They don't have $1 million. They're limited in their options. They need to explore options.
What is the name of that company?
It's called Assured. You can talk to Evie about it. So anytime I refer it, I very clearly say I created it. Right? I created it, so there is no secret. Right? I created it, therefore it has my name. It's not my name, it's Assured. So I created it. Will I be here when those people use it? No, they're 30 years old. They either won't use it at all, or I'll be 30 years dead. So is it a bias for them to name that company? I have a bias, I think it's great. Is it a conflict? No. It's regulated by the state of Kansas and approved by the state of Missouri, and it's trying to make a difference. That's what it's doing.